This is Ben Holladay, soft red wheat, Rickhouse proof. Now these guys have been causing a good noise the past couple years with lots of good reviews, and they've really been up and coming the past couple years with lots of their products, and especially this one. This one, from what I've heard from a lot of people online or at liquor stores or whatever, and even among my friends, has been the best of all of Ben Holladay stuff so far. Even Bruzel really started to recommend this one. So this one caught my attention, let alone for the red wheat kind of flavoring. Now, I didn't know much about wheat. I still don't know anything about wheat, but apparently there's a difference between soft red wheat and hard red wheat. You know, I thought it was just some kind of marketing gimmick or something, but apparently the difference is hard red wheat tends to be used for stuff like bread, flatbreads, those kind of bread products. Meanwhile, soft red wheat, winter wheat, whatever you want to call it in there, is really used more for cookies, some sweeter breads. It's actually used with Maker's Mark and even some Twizzlers, kind of those sweeter products or so, which I don't even know of. It's a much less common kind of wheat that's out there. So that's definitely kind of interesting, and it's important to kind of know your ingredients in your mash bill here, because maybe you can learn something too, not only about bourbon, but of food in general, where your food's coming from too. But the other thing I want to point out here too is some bottles, they'll be really nice, and they'll tell you where in the Rickhouse, or which Rickhouse in particular, the juice from here comes in, and the proportions of the blend that it is, or which barrels it'll come from here. So you can see that most of it is coming from Rickhouse C. Well, it's all from Rickhouse C and the date that it's bottled, but really that 70% of it is coming from the fourth floor of this. Now, with these higher proof, these cast strength bourbons, it's really important that the barrel come from the top of the Rickhouse for a simple factor. Heat rises, and the more heat that a barrel gets, the more the juice is going to be absorbed by the wood and take on more of those characteristics of the wood, age not faster, but age in a more distinct way compared to those that are on the bottom of the Rickhouse. So it'll pick up much more of those notes from the wood and really be able to be a much more expressive kind of bourbon just in general. So you'll hear this phrase of the angel share. This is when bourbon is getting basically so aged or so soaked up in the wood that it's able to basically leak through, and you'll see all these puddles and different, puddles basically of where the bourbon is starting to leak through on the other side, and it evaporates into the air, all that alcohol. So, and that goes to the angels within the air there. So it's a really cool story, and every distillery will tell you that. But that's what's going on here with these cast strength bourbons. They really come from the highest level of the Rickhouse, and that's just really cool to know. So that's awesome. But we'll get into the tasting here of this. And this was very strange. I opened it the other day, and this is not a cork. It's a screw top. That really threw me off. But it's all presentation. So that's kind of funny. But getting to the pour here, the color is it's very amber, or not really amber, kind of amberish, butterscotchish. I'd say more of a butterscotch. There's definitely kind of a ting of like a redness or so, but it's closer on the in between a butterscotch and an amber on this as well. So we'll take a whiff of the nose, and it's those very common bourbon notes you're gonna get. The oak, maybe a little bit of vanilla here, but really that butterscotch, that caramel. There's definitely a spiciness that's to it here. Kind of like when you smell it, there's a graininess that's part of it, but there's a good spice here. It kind of smells like a rye. So we'll have a little bit of a taste here. We drink today because tomorrow we die. And it starts off very silky. You get a lot of that caramel, a little bit of like a syrupy kind of taste, but it's very, not plain, but it's very common on the front. But as it rolls over your tongue, that's where this really starts to shine. You get a lot more of those spicy notes, kind of like a rye that are going back there, but you really get a lot of that kind of like Twizzler licorice taste even like Red Hots. Nothing like Fireball, but that red hot kind of taste. Honestly, the first time I had it, it kind of reminded me of hot sauce a little bit with that. So lots of red hots, lots of good spiciness on the back, and there's almost like a creaminess that it kind of gets there too. Almost like a vanilla ice cream kind of texture at the very, very back of it. But it's mostly spice for me here tonight, and this is a very good craft bottle here, I would say. This is a very easy 6.5 out of 10. It's very nice. It's very different for what it is, and all these soft red wheats and soft, all these red corns and stuff. It's a nice change up from things here. So that'll be it for this episode. Cheers.